Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And for more news, more than 130 world leaders are going to be meeting at the United Nations next week, faced with conflicts in the Middle East as well as Europe threatening to spread. Frustration at the slow pace of efforts to end such conflicts and the worsening humanitarian crises are top of the agenda of discussions. We have the details in this story.
World leaders will descend on the United Nations New York headquarters from Sunday for the organization's annual signature gathering against an explosive backdrop of raging conflicts, growing populism and diplomatic deadlock. The genocide war in Gaza, soaring Middle East tensions, famine conditions in Sudan and the grinding conflict in the Ukraine are amongst the issues on the agenda of the presidents and prime ministers attending the General Assembly's high-level week. But the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres insisted this week that the world would be able to avoid moving to World War III. World leaders will attend to adopt a pact on how to confront the most pressing issues going forward. The summit will be followed by the high-level week at which the UN's 193 members will address each other, kicking off with Brazil. Leaders of China and Russia will be absent as in past years, but Britain's Keir Starmer, Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky and Brazil's Luiz Lula da Silva will be present.
Welcome back. We're now delighted to be joined over the telephone by our guest for the afternoon, Mr. Ramzy Khoury, the journalist. It's a very good afternoon to you, Mr. Ramzy.
Good afternoon, Ramzy.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ramzy, for your time. And let me start, by asking you about this week's meetings. We're talking about over 130 world leaders meeting at the United Nations next week. Of course, topping the agenda, the situation in the Middle East and, the slow pace of efforts to end such conflicts and the worsening humanitarian scenarios on the ground are sure to top the agenda of the discussions. What are your expectations, Mr. Ramzy, for the upcoming meeting?
Well, I believe that the most important thing before the UNGA meeting, the General Assembly meeting coming up, is the resolution that was passed just a couple of days ago at the UN. The resolution clearly demands that Israel leaves the occupied territories within 12 months, as well as calls for a boycott of all military arms that Israel may use in these territories. Now, the importance of this is that it gives you a very clear vision on where everyone stands on the issue. 124 countries supported the measure, and only 14 opposed it. 43 abstained. Out of those who opposed it, only 3 countries are big countries. The US opposed it, the Czech Republic opposed it, Argentina opposed it. But the rest of the opposers are Pacific Island nations that have absolutely no clout or strength. Now, this is basically the scene. The whole world, the vast majority of the world, is demanding that Israel must immediately end its occupation of Palestine.
Yes.
The response of Israel is same. They are now talking about dismantling the Palestinian Authority that submitted the proposal alongside dozens of nations that sponsored it, and they are basically totally ignoring all the resolution, the vote, and the result. And this is what they are going to do with anything that comes out of the United Nations General Assembly. The UNGA can only submit proposals that go to the United Nations Security Council, and this is where a veto from the United States can stop anything.
Absolutely. Now, Mr. Ramzy, another important development that we want to discuss is the recent statement by Hezbollah that said 16 of its fighters were targeted, and amongst the people that were killed in the recent attacks. And this comes hot on the heels of another attack witnessed in Lebanon, which also injured thousands of others in the communication devices and killed about 37 people. This, raises new questions with regards to, some of the security arrangements for the group. And what does this mean with regards to the escalation as a whole?
A very, very, very good question, actually.
Yes.
Let us make things clear. From the day that Fuad Shukr, who was the top military leader of Hezbollah, was assassinated, and then what has been going on for the past 3 days, because it's still ongoing. Israel right now is bombarding the Litani River area,
Yes.
Very heavily. But what happened in the past 2 days is that we've seen the 4 top leaders of Hezbollah assassinated, and at least a dozen of the lower military leadership ranks.
Yes.
Now, this hit is the hardest hit that Hezbollah has ever had.
Absolutely.
Since its inception in the 80s. No one can tell how easy is it going to be for Hezbollah to recuperate. But I totally agree with your question. None of this could have happened without major security breachment from within Hezbollah and within the organization. It's not just security weakness of the Lebanese state. What we are talking about, there are issues that Hezbollah is most likely investigating right now to figure out what has been going on. What Israel intended was 3 days. Of course, we saw the pages and the walkie-talkies blow up over 2 days, and then we saw the attack on that meeting of 20 military leaders. These meetings are so rare, LG. Hezbollah does not often hold a meeting like this.
Yes.
This is not a regular meeting. The reason why the meeting happened is because of the 2 attacks that happened before. Hezbollah needed to know exactly how all of its military commanders are going to work together in order to answer the attacks. And the meeting was decided on the same day of the meeting, Friday, yesterday. But within minutes, the information of the meeting had reached Israel. Within minutes, Israel had worked out exactly how they're going to conduct the assassination. The meeting was held 2 floors below the ground floor in an apartment in a very heavy residential area. And Israel knew exactly how many rockets they need to hit the building with in order for them to be able to destroy the apartment below the ground that the leadership was meeting in.
Yes.
Therefore, none of this would have happened by chance. There's definitely solid information that reached Israel, and Israel was so successful. Where is this taking us? There is no question that Israel is up to no good. When the Israeli Prime Minister came out and said that all of the residents of the north are going to go back to their homes, of course this is not going to happen. This is not going to happen. Hezbollah will make sure that this would never happen. Even the Americans came out and said that they have major differences with Israel over whether this can happen through military action rather than diplomacy. And the only diplomacy that is there for the Israelis to conduct is an immediate agreement with Hamas on Gaza. Otherwise, there will be no diplomatic process that would actually bring these people back north. Because Hezbollah has not lost its ability to shoot rockets at all of the bordering settlements very close to the Lebanese border. Hezbollah has not lost the ability to attack Safad, and everybody knows that they have the ability to attack Tel Aviv and Haifa and Jaffa and all of these cities on the Mediterranean. So Hezbollah still has the ability to attack in the heart of Israel, and therefore no military action can do this. If Israel believes that they can invade Lebanon and destroy Hezbollah, even that is very far-fetched, and it doesn't make sense. Israel has been trying to destroy Hamas, which is much weaker than Hezbollah, for the past year, and they haven't been able to do it until today. Hamas is conducting operations inside of Gaza, killing Israeli soldiers and attacking Israeli vehicles, etc. So how long would it take Israel to be able to pull off a wipe out of Hezbollah in Lebanon? Ridiculous notion. However, what we are seeing is an escalation, an Israeli escalation that is deliberate. What are they trying to do? To push Hezbollah to retaliate in a very big way? So what's in the head of the Israeli leadership? We all know that Netanyahu does not want to end the war. We all know that there isn't much left for the Israeli military to do in Gaza. You would think that Israel would not want to be remaining in Gaza while also fighting a war in Lebanon or on the borders with Lebanon. And at the end of the day, we are seeing a very weak Netanyahu who is trying to prolong the status quo. I'm not sure how long will the Israeli people be able to sustain, tolerate, and maintain the status quo, because they are paying a price.
Absolutely.
Economically, politically, etc.
In every sense of the word, absolutely. I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today's edition of Arab Affairs. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Mr. Ramzy Khoury, our journalist and our guest for the afternoon. Thank you so much, sir, for all your time and your insight. Ladies and gentlemen, with this we come to the end of today's episode of Arab Affairs. You're in the company of myself, Angie Meher. Thank you for joining us.